Hello, everyone. My name is Ian Camacho. I am the product designer on the package stage. Today for the UX Showcase, I wanted to share with you some of the work we are doing around expanding the dependency proxy. I apologize that I'm not there in person. I had a bit of a conflict. Assuming the schedule works out, I am actually having this exact same conversation with the rest of the package stage, discussing where we came to with the design, gathering their feedback, and trying to plan out how we're going to implement something like this as part of our Think Big. So I thank you for your patience with that. A real quick overview, the package stage, we take bundled up pieces of code, whether that be a package or an image, and we store them in a registry and then make them available either for engineers to pull down manually or to be included as part of the CI pipeline. Today, we're going to be talking about the dependency proxy. It is a category in the package stage that has been minimal for a little bit, and our users have been talking quite a bit about the possibilities that we could introduce in that area that would really enable them. Some initiative goals we have around expanding the dependency proxy. Based on some user research we've done, we learned that most projects use a 50-50 mixture of external and internal hosted packages. When including a package into an organization's code base, the location it is pulled from may vary, and this variance can lead to confusion. And so this is the business area of opportunity where we can make it easier for DevOps and system engineers and even just straight engineers to be able to push and pull packages more seamlessly and with less overhead. For a user goal, we wanted to create an easy way for the DevOps and system admins to manage a collection of registries, providing their team and CI tools with a more predictable endpoint for getting packages. A little bit of history around this initiative. The issue 9164 was opened about a year ago, discussing the dependency proxy for NPM specifically. We currently, in this vein and area, have request forwarding for Docker Hub and NPM.js. And what this means is that if I'm a user and I request a specific image, when we check the container registry on GitLab and we're not able to find it, we will then forward that request over to Docker Hub and see if it's available in the public registry. Our users have really appreciated that, but it is a pretty narrow window of what that can do. We've spoken to customers, and especially at larger or older organizations, they've made comments that the lack of robust features in the dependency proxy has kept them from fully utilizing the GitLab package registry offering. So we know that this is an area where we can grow and expand, and we're really excited for that. In 13.0, we conducted some problem validation research. We spoke to about 8 end users, most of them in larger organizations, and discussed with them some of the headaches and problem areas they've had with managing many different package registries and kind of solutions that they either expect or would want to see. Running right now, we also have a technical investigation. The reason I wanted to bring this up is we had a really great opportunity for the design and the technical investigation to happen at the same time. So as the backend engineers have been exploring the possibilities of how we could solve this problem, I have been working at the same time working on the design, which means the two of us have been in balance as opposed to other situations where either the design has to match the backend setup or the backend has to respond to the way the design is laid out. It's been really cool to collaborate in such a seamless fashion. A little bit of background about all the things that I'm talking about here. Let's start with the simplest one, which is just a hosted registry. This is a place that's on GitLab.com, or if you're self-hosted, wherever you're hosting your GitLab instance, and it's a single location that you can push and pull packages from. It contains all the packages that the organization has added to the registry. The downside of that is that they don't have a lot of those common third-party packages that we're used to seeing. So it really is whatever has been manually added there. It integrates reasonably seamlessly with the rest of the GitLab DevOps lifecycle. So we have opportunities for security scanning and caching and a lot of those things to make sure pipelines and build times are nice and quick. Pretty easy for developers to utilize, and it's pretty easy for DevOps to manage this. We have been excelling at the package category and the container registry category in providing this solution. Hosted and remote registries. This is where we tend to find most of our users. They have a small number of locations where they could possibly pull a package from, and users generally know where that is. Small organizations, they tend to use public or third-party package registries that are, by definition, remote registries for us that can include something like the React package from NPM, something that's publicly available and needs to be included in the code base. For packages that they've created internally and are custom to their organization, they tend to host them in their GitLab registries. And so it's pretty easy for them to tell which of the locations their package is going to be coming from. Some of the downsides is that only some of the packages that are being integrated into the code base really take advantage of all of the features of being part of the DevOps lifecycle. It is pretty easy for developers to utilize, as well as CI tools, and DevOps only manage a little bit in trying to make sure that this is pretty seamless. The area of opportunity that we saw is when you have a much more complicated registry setup or have many locations. This happens a lot for large organizations when they've either been around longer and they have used different tools to store their packages, or they have a variety of teams coming from many different places that have all had their solutions set up. It can be really difficult in this scenario for a developer to know where a package for a specific use case should be pulled from. And on top of that, DevOps and system admins have a tricky time managing access to all of these different registries and knowing where to prioritize when to look for something in one versus another. This is an area that we've seen a lot of users struggle with and want to have DevOps want to create a nice, easy solution so engineers don't have to think about this while they're trying to produce code. Our solution to that overwhelming where is my package problem was by expanding the dependency proxy. I am thinking of expanding it in two different ways. One of them is to expand the idea of the remote registry to allow users to add more registries and custom registries. This can lower the administration overhead by only needing authentication between the remote registry itself and GitLab, as opposed to needing to create authentication for each user, as well as for each CI or each tool that's being involved. From an end user perspective, as an engineer, it would be nice to have that one single location where they can go and find all of the packages that an organization uses. And we could enable features for those remote registries like caching or security scanning to raise the stability of the build environment that they're working with. The second feature that I would like to include and add is the idea of a virtual registry. This allows users to combine multiple hosted and remote registries. This means there's one single endpoint that you can provide to your engineering team to say, this is the one place you have to go to find any NPM package. And on the back end, the DevOps engineers or system admins can go through and define, this should be the first place we look for an NPM package, this is the second place, and if we still can't find it, let's look at the public domain. A little bit of expansion on that virtual registry idea. So what you would do is, as a DevOps or system admin, you can create a virtual registry of a single package type. So this would always be looking for either NPM or Conan or even Docker images. You would only need to require authentication once. So if you have access to the virtual registry, you would be able to pull from any of the packages contained within it without having to worry about it. It gives the opportunity for system admins and DevOps to really define what order of priority we should be looking at to find our packages. So this lightens the load for engineers to have to know that kind of information ahead of time. It also gives us a great opportunity to enable some cross-stage features, so security scanning again, caching, things like that. The really cool part is that engineers and CI tools would have a single API endpoint, which means that your npm-rc file is a lot cleaner. It means when you're building CI, it's a lot more straightforward. And when you're bringing a new engineer onto the team, admins don't need to create additional authentication. They only have to do it in one place at one time, and it will really save a lot of problems, a lot of time. Next steps of what we need to do. For 13.2, we have scheduled some solution validation. We really want to take the opportunity to look at the UI that we built out and lay out a couple of tasks for our users, but really ask the foundational question of, does this solution enable larger organizations to manage many registries more efficiently? We can also ask questions like, what aspect of the feature set is most important to their organization? And as the UI designer, I get to ask the question, does the UI actually enable you to understand the offering And is it easy for you to implement the dependency proxy solutions? Once we get through some solution validation, we're going to review the design and technical investigation. This is a pretty large endeavor. So after we've looked at it and analyzed it, we're going to create an epic for updating the dependency proxy, and then create much smaller issues that are devoted to more of that MVC and iteration, building one piece at a time, ensuring each piece has value, creating a larger stage. And then lastly, we would like to begin conversations with cross-stage opportunities earlier so that we can build them in as we build this more robust dependency proxy. Thank you all for taking the time, and I appreciate again your patience for listening to the recording instead of having me there in person. If you have any questions around this, feel free to reach out to me or ping me on Slack or any way that you'd like to get a hold of me. I would love to share our information that we have around this, as well as kind of get your thoughts and feedback. Thank you all.